Welcome to American Heroes Outdoors, and we're finally going to get the episode I've been waiting for. Here I am in Florida, and yes sir, we filmed an episode down here with a great group of friends of mine that I simply call brothers.
These guys burn through a lot of hooks and jigs.
And also during this episode, we're going to highlight our next SCHEELS Hometown Hero, Sailor Jerri.
American Heroes Outdoors shares the stories of our nation's true heroes, a documentation of journey, commitment, struggle, and healing, a glimpse into the sacrifice and bravery of our service men and women.
There he is, baby. There he is.
This is American Heroes Outdoors.
Hey everybody, good morning. Welcome to Matlacha, Florida. First saltwater trip for American Heroes Outdoors. I got a great group of veterans, I'll consider them brothers, on the boat today. Just taking the opportunity, they're on their vacation, and we're going to try to catch some fish today. So, you know, right next to me, obviously, a lot of you have already met my buddy Lowell Cruz, and standing up next to you there is Jeff Nelson, one of my commanders. One of the guys that I've served with for a long time, and sticking his head out back here is Lonnie Rigney, a great young soldier that I've worked with for quite a while and have watched his career develop. And over here behind his dad's shoulder, that's Jacob Cruz. He just flew in. He is an active duty Army officer, just getting ready to move to Fort Knox now. And we're going to go out and see if we can't catch some fish and just have some fun.
So in May of 2008, I get a phone call from a Lieutenant Colonel Scott St. Sauver. And he says, "Hi Lonnie, I'd like to talk to you about a potential deployment." And the funny story was I just had knee surgery the day before. So I still was under some medication. And I said, "Sure, sir, I'd love to discuss this with you." And this Lieutenant Colonel Scott St. Sauver looked through the phone and says, I don't think you understand." I said, "Excuse me, sir?" "Yeah, you're gonna go." "Roger that, sir, I'd be happy to." And for me, it wasn't something that I felt bad about doing. I didn't have that sadness that, you know, some people talk about, I don't want to deploy, I don't want this. I didn't get that at all. I felt I don't know, it had to do, I think, a lot of the team that I was deploying with, the persons, including Lieutenant Colonel Scott St. Sauver. I felt no fear of what we were doing whatsoever. I trusted all those folks that we were going with. I knew them all. My wife's reaction was a little bit different. She was sitting next to me on the couch, and I didn't say a word of what the conversation was on the phone, but as soon as I hung up the phone, she knew exactly what it was.
I don't know that you really can prepare yourself. As a single mom before meeting Lonnie, I was on my own anyway, so I knew I could handle things as far as taking care of things at home. But emotionally, it was hard because he was the happy spot, the highlight at the end of the day. You miss that the most. As I have learned more, that people that aren't in the military, they don't really understand what you go through. They think that your biggest fear is that somebody's going to get hurt, which is a real fear, but really the hard part is just knowing that there's going to be long periods of time where you can't see each other. and where they're going to be very stressed. And I think that's the hardest part. If I could give any new military spouse advice, I would say call another military spouse, make your connections. It has been wonderful meeting these gals. Before I met them, I really felt alone in the military limelight, you know, and just hearing them talk, and they go through the same things that I go through. But definitely make those connections with other people that are going through the same thing as you.
"34 years in the military, and but I've always said the military has done more for me than I'll ever be able to repay to them. And that includes a couple of deployments, you know, tough deployments, being away from Kerry.
As a wife, it's like I was very sad that he wouldn't be able to experience, you know, the pregnancy with me. And then we were uncertain of whether or not he could even be there for the birth of Samuel. That was probably the hardest part, just knowing I was going through that. And that's something as a father, I'm assuming, and Jeff did, he wanted to be there for that stuff. And I know it really weighed on him that he couldn't be there, because he is such a protector and such a caregiver. And so I know it really weighed on him that he was not there for me. But the beautiful thing about us is that my husband is a communicator, and we talked through everything, and he just really helped alleviate a lot of that that in me. So it was really good in that sense. The beautiful thing too is technology. I was able to see his face every day, which really, really helped, because we were apart, but yet we weren't. Still having that connection was huge for me, huge. And just knowing he was just a phone call away. I was very close to having Samuel, and I was able to convince my doctors to induce me so Jeff could be there for the birth. You know, we got 4 amazing days with him, and Samuel and him got to bond just that little tiny bit. And then, you know, when it was time to say goodbye, when I had to take him to the airport, and it was just me and Samuel.
Well, of course, you never know with him. They own him.
I was very confident in myself, knowing, listen, we can do this. Not only from the first deployment did I gain some amazing military wife friends. That was an incredible, the camaraderie that we had as military wives and spouses with kids. It was a bond we formed that is lifetime. It's a lifetime formed bond. And that alone, knowing I had other women that were in my exact same shoes, walking through the exact same thing, that alone, there was just, it made the process so much easier.
We're at our best when we're helping each other. And that's just in my heart of hearts. I love helping other people around me and seeing them succeed. I've always said, I'm here to serve, not to be served, just like Scripture says. I don't like being in the spotlight. My pride and joy comes from soldiers around me who get the accolades, who get promoted, people to my left and right, you know, whether they work for me or I work for them, seeing them succeed. That's what brings me joy. we have a promise, even if something does bad happen or whatever, that we have that promise that this isn't the end and that we will meet again. And this life that we have is a flash of time, and that there is something eternal afterwards.
American Heroes Outdoors is brought to you by SCHEELS, Disabled American Veterans of Minnesota, Smoky Hills Outdoor Store, Skeeter Boats, and Yamaha Outboards, Woodland Resort, Otter Tail Lakes Country, Yamaha, Ice Castle Fish Houses, S&S Promotional Group, and Wheelers Point Resort. Interested in supporting our mission at American Heroes Outdoors? Go to AmericanHeroesOutdoors.com to nominate your very own hero or drop a donation to support our nation's true heroes.
The message that I want to tell people that are on the couch and those that are their friends and battle buddies that are off the couch is, spending time with somebody on the outdoors or out on the water really is a non-confrontational event. You can regain that trust, re-engage, and make a connection with somebody else where that will help you get off that couch in the future. The hardest part of it is getting them off the couch the first time. But after days like yesterday, being on the boat with some battle buddies and talking through some things, getting off the couch isn't hard. I mean, I'm standing at the door waiting to go. My message to them is to the folks that are not the ones on the couch that can reach out and get their friends off the couch, get them outdoors and get them to do some things that are non-confrontational, where you feel like you can gain some more trust and have those open conversations that are required to keep them coming off the couch.
Catch and release only. Nice trout.
So for those soldiers that are out there that have difficulties, that have challenges getting out there and re-engaging with life and whatnot, get up and get out there and live life. We have this, awesome opportunity, and yes, there are challenges out there, and there's some struggles through just self-awareness and other loved ones. But honestly, with our loved ones, vast majority of times they're true. We are fighters, we're warriors. Everybody, we raised our right hand and said, handed over a blank check. Keep fighting, keep engaging, get out there, and even if it's, one small step, it'll get better and better. And there's so many things out there, there's so many joys in life, and there's so much help out there too. And it's even just a text message to somebody that you may know, just saying, maybe it's just something, hey, how you been? And hopefully that person will engage and start talking, right? We're our own best counselors, and just asking each other, how you doing? Hey, let's meet up for a cup of coffee, let's go to lunch. That might be a breakthrough that saves somebody's life or betters their life in regards to getting out, seeking help, just being engaged with life again. And there's hope. There's always hope. This is only temporary, what challenges that they may be going through. So when you see somebody with a Vietnam hat, Korea, wherever they served, thank them, because they did not get that in any way, shape, or form. So we really are blessed. We have that privilege, whereas they didn't.
We're sharing more stories on our social media pages. SCHEELS Hometown Heroes, Sunday Service Spotlight, and more. Help us share more stories of our servicemen and women.
Welcome back to American Heroes Outdoors. During this episode, we're going to highlight our next SCHEELS Hometown Hero, Sailor Jerri.
Welcome to SCHEELS Hometown Heroes.
SCHEELS Hometown Heroes is a way for us to say thanks
To those that serve our country and our community.
and are still giving back to others today.
We honor your service by sharing your stories.
From all of us at SCHEELS, thank you for your service.
Hi, I'm Angie DePulver from the St. Cloud SCHEELS location. Today we are out riding horse with Sailor Jerri. We are presenting her with the SCHEELS Hometown Hero Award. And we'd like to thank you, Jerri, for your service and blessing us with your music.
We grew up in the Mille Lacs County area, Princeton, Malacca, and I have 2 biological sisters and a couple stepsisters, and out of all of them, me and Jerri we're probably the closest.
Growing up, we were just really patriotic, and I wanted to join the military. I knew I wanted to join. I didn't know what branch I wanted to join, but then, because my uncles had served, I had uncles in the Air Force, in the Army, and in the Navy.
For me, it was kind of short notice. It kind of happened fast.
My family was split. My dad was not stoked. Actually, we have a song about it. He's not anti-military. He was anti his daughter joining the military. And we got into it one day, and he said, my uncle had been gone a lot, and he said, Trevor should be home taking care of his kids and his family, and he's always gone. And I said, he is taking care of his kids, and he's taking care of your kids and everybody else's kids. Because if everybody says someone else can do a thing, nobody does anything. So he was on board shortly after that. He wasn't at first. My mom, on the other hand, she either thinks that I'm a total badass or something, because she said, if I want somebody watching my back, you would be it. So I joined as an aviation mechanic. I worked on F-18s, and I also worked on, the Navy's version of a Black Hawk. It's a Seahawk, but basically we paint everything gray in the Navy, so they just take a Black Hawk and paint it gray. So that's not exactly right. Somebody's gonna watch this and say that's not exactly accurate, but pretty much it is. I never made a full deployment on a carrier, but I was on a carrier. We made jets. We were down in Key West, so we flew up to Boston. We flew all around doing things with the jets. As an aviation person in the Navy, you aren't attached to a ship. You're attached to your birds, your squadron, and then wherever they go, you go. So I spent time out on the Reagan. So when you get out of the military, that's why veterans have so many issues. The community, when you're in the military, is so different. And then you get out, and you don't get that in civilian life for the most part. And that's how I got into this, is that community. I love the community of the military. And you still have it when you get out. People just don't realize it's still there. And I love that part about it.
She's been singing her whole life. It's just not as publicly as lately. When we were kids, I mean, she sang to us all the time. She wrote a motorcycle song for my mom when she was like 15 or 16. She would sing all the time. That was what country kids did, you know? We just sat around outside and turn on the country music and we danced.
So I don't like to sing in front of people at all. It is my only anxiety in life. I joke, I'm joking, but I'm dead serious. I would rather stomp around in my underwear on a stage than sing in front of people. I sing for my family, but I never would sing in front of people unless it was 7 shots of tequila deep at karaoke. I was dealing with some veteran groups online. I joined up as an administrator in one of the veteran support groups because I know that we tend to isolate and I know that we need that community. So I was just a voice or an ear to listen to people who needed to talk. If you don't want to talk to a therapist, it's fine. Go to the range, go to the gym, do this, go fishing and hunting, whatever it is that gets you out into a community again, because we don't know we're missing it, but we are. And I started doing music 4 years ago, July. I started learning to play guitar. It was really, really bad. So I wanted to volunteer at the long-term care at the VA in St. Cloud, Minnesota. That's where I started. It was perfect because I was just learning guitar, so I was really bad and it would make your ears bleed. But I was in the long-term care, so it's a lot of elderly gentlemen who can't hear real well and I couldn't play real well, so it was perfect. It literally was great.
We always loved her voice, and then this all happened.
they asked me to sing Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah, which was one of the greatest songs ever written. Before I even learned how to play it all the way, I took all the stories I'd heard from all the veterans over the last 6, probably at that point 4 or 5 years of being an administrator online, and I took their stories and I put them into the song, and I rewrote it into a veteran's Hallelujah. I posted the song. My kids and I went to town. It was like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Never thought twice about it. And then the next morning I woke up and I started getting all these messages because a lot of my family and friends didn't know that I did all this military support group stuff online. And I'm getting all these messages that are like, there's this video and has like 100 or 750,000 views on it. Like, what happened? And so I looked and I was gonna delete it because I did not want anyone to see me singing. And so they talked me into leaving it. They're like, we already downloaded it. If you delete it, we'll repost it. So I was stuck with it. So at the end of the day, it hit like 1 million. At the end of the week, it was like 7 million and then 10 million. Then we decided to record it in the studio, so it sounded good. And a friend of mine played the guitar and the violin on it. And we posted that about a month later. In the first year, that hit about 150 million views of people sharing it. It went crazy. And then that was it. I started getting phone calls from veteran organizations all over the country asking if I'd come sing. And 2 albums later, we're working on album number 3. And I got to be on the CMAs with Reba last fall, and that's it. It all came from learning guitar for the long-term care at the VA.
I know that she doesn't feel like special about it. Like she doesn't take it for granted. She knows how really insane this whole thing has been for her, and it's been a surprise. And the suicide rate that we have with veterans, and there's so many things that people could do, and she's lost people close to her to veteran suicide, and so it's incredibly important to her to reach people. Saving one life by just connecting with that person and making that person feel like they're important is everything to her. She's incredible. There's not a much better way to put it.
Thank you, Jerri, for sharing that with American Heroes Outdoors. Until next time, folks, we'll see you next week.